So let's head inside and look at the facility. So coming inside, we have a reception area, and the stairs up there go to the offices. There's a small display cabinet to show some of the parts we make and some interesting magazines of the past. Importantly, some customer toilets there, which are unlike most garages we visit. And as we head down the corridor here into the main workshop, there's some points of interest from things we've done through the years. So this one here on the left is the first ever right-hand drive Austin-Healey produced. This was a pre-production vehicle, and we restored this car probably around 6 years ago now. And there it is photographed just down the road from here. On the right here, we've got Bill in his ideal place, which is the machine shop, turning some material there. And Bill is always on hand to do anything that's needed. We do have a staff number of about 15 of us, from office staff through to workshop mechanics, body shop, and engine building. And we do absolutely everything in-house, which we'll come on to in a minute. Here we have a picture on the right here, which is actually myself last year at the Goodwood members meeting, where we're racing Austin-Healey 100S here, and one of the original 50 production cars. This was a brilliant race where we finished up third place overall, which was pretty good for this for an Austin-Healey when you consider the rest of the field there with Maseratis and D-types and C-types. It was a tough competition. And here we have another family member. This is Charlie. This is my brother. I'm the youngest son. Charlie's the middle son, and there's an older son as well who doesn't work in the business. So it really is a family business. On the left-hand side here, we've got, just last year actually, our Road to Road America project. So this was a project where we took 2 race cars with the help of Pete Sturdivant all the way to the USA, and we conquered Road America by winning the race overall. It was a 2-part race. We won both races and took home the glory. And this was a picture of our customer, Andy, racing his 3000 that we built from the ground up. This is my car. This is my BN7, which was on holiday in Wales. And as you can see, beautiful sunshine there. And on the right here, this is D&H 828, which was the first privateer Healey to race at Goodwood. So again, another historic car. As we enter the workshop now, this is the main mechanical workshop. It's a Saturday morning here, so all the cars are inside. During the day, there's facility to keep the cars undercover if they need to come out of the workshop. But as you can see on a Saturday, it's pretty busy here with cars coming and going. On the left here, we have all the jobs in progress from the mechanical workshop, and what's really important is communication. So making sure that everything gets communicated between the customer and the owners, between the customers and the workshop. So that's done through creating an estimate for the whole job, and then the work force can come here and tick off what they've done and making sure that everything gets completed. That means that no silly things get missed. When the customer comes to collect the car, everything gets done, from changing a light bulb to a full service, whatever is needed gets completed. Right, I'm going to open up this room, and I'll just have to turn on the lights. So this is our engine building room. This is where we do all of our engines and gearboxes. And you can see here on the stand, this is a standard road engine, which is finishing the end of build, and it will now go into the paint shop to be painted in the BMC metallic green. We do a range of engines, from standard road cars through to fast road, rally and race. These are our 4 specifications, and we found that actually we have started to do lots of work for international customers, shipping engines overseas, crated engines, and we have a facility for you to ship your engine to us to be rebuilt. Any component can be rebuilt and shipped back out. So on the stand here, you can see there's also 100S head, which is being stripped down for rebuild. So we'll complete this, take this apart. New valve guides will be installed, new valves into this head, and it'll be ready for racing this season. So this is the engine room. Let's go on to the mechanical workshop next. Okay, here we are in the mechanical workshop. This is where we do all of our clean and tidy work, so maintenance, servicing, stripping and refitting and rebuilding of the restoration projects. There's other areas of the facility which are for restoration, which we'll come on to in a bit. And you can see what we've got in at the moment. We do a lot of Austin-Heelys, obviously, as a specialist, but we do get involved with other vehicles as well. So you've got a Mercedes here, Fiat 124, Jaguar E-Type, and also something quite different as well as the Lancia Aurelia in the background there, which we can have a look at in a second. So it's not only road cars that we work on a range of competition cars, from hill climb and sprint cars, rally cars, through to full race cars, to FIA spec, as well as preparing vehicles for historic events, such as the Mille Miglia or maybe Goodwood Revival. These are the kind of vehicles that come through. So this here is a full rally car, a competition stage rally car that we're preparing for the 2025 season. It has been a hill climb car. It won the UK Hill Climb Championship last year, after we did quite a lot of work on it to build it a fast road engine, a full rally engine. Sorry, we did a lot of suspension repairs because they take quite a hammering, these cars, and this car had the turrets here which were almost completely broken off the chassis. So he was really lucky we found that, as well as doing important upgrades such as strengthening of the front wishbones on both sides. We've got sliding top mounts, and these are the kind of changes that we do for competition cars. These sliding top mounts allow adjustment of camber in and out, and obviously these strengthening areas are the kind of things that we found over the years that do break, as well as strengthening triangulating the engine mounts as well, which are common to cracking off. So that's the kind of competition upgrade that we would do, as well as many others. Obviously, I can't tell you everything. You know, I have to tell you that, I'd have to kill you, as they say. So this car will be prepped for the 2025 season, and we'll be rallying on the stages of the UK, Scotland, and Wales. So there's nothing quite like a Heeley rally car, obviously made famous by the BMC competition department. Working our way through a lovely Heeley 100, which is in for a service at the moment. The engine's pretty tired on this one actually. It's getting to the point where we've done a leak down test and it's got about a 35% loss on one cylinder. So that's going to be suggesting that the bores are pretty worn, and it's going to be looking like an engine rebuild in the coming months. The owner is going to just consider his options, and we will estimate that for him and see how we proceed. We're pretty sure that will be done in the next couple of months. Also in this workshop are some restoration projects, so I'll show you how they get to this point in a minute. This is sort of quite a long way down the track really, but this is now at the fit-up stage. Once the whole chassis has been repaired, seam sealed and painted, this is all ready to come back together. So the Heeley was lifed. This is a fun fact told to us by the Heeley family. The Heeley was lifed for about 7 years. That's what they expected it to last. And here we are 60 odd years on, which explains why some of them are in such bad condition. But I guess, you know, if they lasted more than 7 years, then no one would have bought another one. So they had to keep their sales going somehow. But what we do now when we restore the car is seam seal the vehicle in areas where it wasn't seam sealed before. You know, the classic rust areas, which are like these seams here, where the moisture can get in there and blow this out. Down in the bottom corners here, these are all seam sealed.
Want a credit card for gas?
Here. Anywhere that there's a joint. So where are we up to on this one? This one's one of the great ones made. As you can see, a left-hand drive vehicle, one not destined for the UK, and the wiring loom's going into this one. So we'll get this up to a point where it's basically a running and driving car. All of the vehicles here are on a consignment basis, so they're not vehicles that we're doing for ourselves. These are all customer projects for people all over the world. So this one, again, another left-hand drive car. This one will be heading to Portugal. This one's a little bit further on than the white one over there. So after the white one there has the suspension fitted up and is able to go on its wheels, it will then come into the point where the rebuilt engine and gearbox is installed, and the car becomes a running and driving chassis, basically, ready for the body to be fitted. Now, the body has already been pre-fitted as well at this stage. So as you can see, some repairs have been done to that door with a new door bottom on there. So this would, to give you an idea of the process, the vehicle is blasted, stripped apart and blasted. We then assess the panels and the chassis is repaired. The body panels are fitted up onto the chassis, and we can check alignment, and then the panels are taken off the chassis, The chassis is prepared and painted. The whole vehicle is fitted up as you see now, and then the vehicle will then go back into the body shop for the bodywork to be fitted. Finally, the bodywork will then be taken off again, and the vehicle will be painted inside all of the panels in primer and colour, and the outsides of the panels will be primed. We then fit the bodywork back up again and then complete the paint process. Once the paint process is completed, we then go on to finishing and final assembly. So, it's quite a, 2 steps forward, 1 step back sometimes, but we've found that this is the best way to complete the process, is this constant checking and assembly and disassembly is really important in order to make sure that basically you don't get further down the line and you've assumed that things are going to fit and then you find they don't, which as Healey owners you will know, exactly what I mean. Right, now this one here, and we'll come on to this one just here in a minute, which is at the end of assembly. So just for now, we'll have a look at this Aurelia. The Lancia Aurelia, beautiful car. Actually, one of the very first V6 engines, a very shallow V, interesting design, immensely complicated and over-engineered, and you can see why Lancia went bust. Let me give you an example. On the rear here, this is the rear axle. It's got a transaxle. It has a long engine speed prop shaft that runs all the way to the clutch at the back here, which is notoriously hard to get balanced, which we have balanced and fixed that vibration. But let's say we want to change the rear shoes, or have a look in the rear brakes. To remove the drum, you actually can't remove the drum because there's not enough space between this point and this point in the chassis for the whole drum to come off. So you actually have to drop the rear axle down. But if you want to take the whole drum off, you can't actually remove the whole drum without removing this pot joint, because this fill plug actually doesn't allow the drum to come past this fill plug, because they've got one on either side. So that's a classic example of Italian design that really makes such a simple job like changing the brake shoes really, really complex. We found that this sliding joint in here had all worn, it run dry of grease and lubrication, and so that was causing a massive vibration for the owner. This car's now coming back together and is almost done, ready to go back on the road. But an example of the thoughtful Italian design, I mean, look at those gauges, it's just fantastic in there. But some thoughtful Italian design to make sure you don't catch your knee on the window winder. Really high quality vehicle, that. Nice to see. Right, let's have a look at this restoration project. Okay, so here we have a Healey which is now at the end of about a 2.5 year restoration. This is approximately how long it will take for a vehicle to come through the workshop into a finished point. This vehicle was in a terrible state when it arrived, really, really bad. It was a US car and shipped over here, and for a UK customer, but really bad repairs everywhere. But stripped down to nothing and blasted, as I said about the other process, and now rebuilt and finished here in house. It's looking really, really good, and we're really pleased with it. We basically have an ethos that we do the work to this high standard, or nothing else really. So this is what we're known for, producing vehicles of this quality, which like I say, we're really proud of. So in the engine bay here, we've got a fast road Austin-Healey engine. It's still in fit up, so obviously the capillary tube there won't be cable tied in the end. That's just the last thing that was done yesterday, was to fit that up and put the gauge in. But so we've got fast road engine in here. This is our developed high flow inlet manifold, which is available on request. This is something we mainly offer to our customers, having their engines built in-house, but we do ship this worldwide as well, and having produced over 60 of these now. They're in Australia and America and the UK and such. It's running on 2-inch SUs, so it's more like a Mark III setup, and it's got a throttle cable conversion, which is an option on that. So yeah, as you can see in the engine bay, all the pipe work, wiring loom, and we've done the engine reinforcement on this as standard. The interior of the car, we're just working on this at the moment, so as you can see, we've just got some protective covers in there. But yeah, this is all trimmed in Connolly leather, which is the original type of leather that was used by Austin-Healey. Rather than just a general auto leather, which is really actually more like a printed leather these days, where it rolls through a die that will actually print the pattern into the leather to make sure it's uniform. This is what manufacturers, big manufacturers like Mercedes and Bentley want. They want all of their leather to really have a repeating pattern in it that looks like a hide, but actually isn't. And what's lovely about Connolly is that it is actually a proper hide that has differences in it. You know, I mean, it's just a small feature, but look at that there, just a slight difference in the leather. And as you move around the seat, you know, you can see this is what real leather looks like, unlike a sort of general auto hide. And because of that, it's a little bit more expensive, but I think it's well worth it. The rear of the car is trimmed in hard Dura. This is a 2-seat model. And in the boots here, we've got black hard Dura. With the flaps under there to access the little store in the side there. And we've put a small cut-off key there for the battery as well. Right, let's have a look underneath the car. Okay, so heading underneath the car now, you can see this original chassis that's been fully repaired as required. And this customer was particularly interested in the project, which was great, particularly interested in the absolute detail of everything. So to the nth degree, this has been restored, but you know, nothing's really too different to our usual standards. And this is the kind of vehicle that we produce. So what's important though is for us to assess some of the parts of the vehicle that maybe have some patina to them. You know, it's not about completely producing a brand new car. You know, it's about restoration. So you've got to really sort of evaluate what needs to be done and what should be done, and what can be left as the original car as well. You know, so yeah, so new floors in there, new sills, and the holes drilled for wax oiling. So this would be internally wax oiled in the chassis. But as you can see here, you know, some slight pitting on the chassis. It's important, you know, that you don't completely restore every single element of the vehicle sometimes, so that it still retains some of its history and character. Let's zoom out a bit so we can get a full view of that. Okay, so spec-wise, what do we got? We've got just our sort of standard or fast road spec, so uprated core radiator there, 7/8 anti-roll bar, fully rebuilt front suspension, disc brakes in the front obviously. We've got a servo on this as well. Our fast road engine with high flow inlet manifold and exhaust side exit with a center change gearbox. And you see all the fuel lines and brake lines running down there, and the main battery cable there too. Differential, we've gone for quite a punchy 4.3 on this one to give it some good acceleration. But obviously, as you all know, the options are available with a 3.9 or a 3.5, depending on your application, whether you're going to be touring, fast road, or you just want the car to be sort of as it left the factory. Rear axle completely rebuilt. Suspension there. So this car is pretty much ready now to get on the road to do some road testing. So it's going to be exciting to see that go out for the first time back on the road in a few years. Okay, remaining downstairs, we then head into Biil's domain, which is the machine shop. This is where we complete any machining we need to do or development of some products. So Biil has made this drill jig here from scratch with all the hardened you know, drilling pilot holes here as well.
A local group, and it's
system to quickly change the alternator bracket. Drill jigs for the alternator bracket here.
John McLean song, the American Play.
There, which we'll go through there for the alternator we've developed and having produced. We also produce the inlet manifolds, our rocket gaskets, and other products as well.
right?
Like I said
And
before,
then I
we really
spent
aim to
six
provide parts and products for our customer vehicles as they come through, but it is something that we do ship worldwide as well. So good Colchester lathe there, we've got 2 of those, and a Bridgeport milling machine, and then the jig borer, which is an incredibly accurate machine, which is used for doing the porosity kits or anti-porosity kits in the engine blocks. So a problem we found with the Healeys, and there's another engine block ready to go onto the machine, and there'll be another one out here too as well. Another one there ready to go on the machine. So what we've found is that the oil pressure at 60 psi, which runs very close to the water jacket, actually pushes oil into the block, or sorry, pushes oil into the water system. And so when you've had your lovely engine rebuilt and you open the radiator cap and there's some oily substance inside the water, that is the problem, it's block porosity. So what we do is we've had stainless steel tubes manufactured to specification, which are these tubes here, and the jig borer machines down the relief for the tube to be inserted, and we insert these stainless steel tubes into the cast block, and that cures the problem. They go into the oilways. And again, that's another service that we offer, either business to business or customer to customer, or even if someone's not having their engine rebuilt here, that is a service we offer. Right, let's head upstairs, see what's going on up there. Okay, so heading upstairs away from the mechanical workshop. This is the area in which we store our work in progress vehicles. So rather than vehicles staying outside, obviously, or anywhere else, this is our work in progress area. So various different projects from, just this one's having an engine rebuild, so the engine's out of that one. This one again is having an engine rebuild, the engine's out of that one. This is a car that's just arrived from America, has been stripped down, and will be undergoing a full restoration on this car. We also have some racing cars here as well. A project which has just arrived, which is now at the start of restoration, and some racing cars here. And down the end there, we've actually got a Works Healey here, which I'm not really allowed to show you because the owner doesn't want the previous preparer to know that it's here, so that will be kept away from the camera, I'm afraid. This one here under the cover is one of the very rare Austin-Healey 100Ss, 50 cars produced, and this is the car that I get to race at Goodwood. Let me just uncover this and I'll come back and carry on this video. So the Austin-Healey 100S, mostly confused as being a modified 104, but really isn't the case. This is a completely different car, really. Okay, they share similarities, and the chassis is of similar design, but that's about where it stops, really, because it has a steel ladder chassis, and then from the flat point upwards, say, for example, this is 104 here, anything at the lower level there as a chassis is steel, and anything above that, the bulkheads, the support panels, all the inner structure is aluminium, as well as the bodywork is aluminium. They have a slightly different engine, which was developed by Morris, still a 2.6, and really sort of retaining the same block, but with a different head stub pattern to accommodate the different head that they used, as the inlet and exhaust is actually on the right-hand side of the car, not on the left-hand side. And the reason for this is that they get better flow by going in through the right-hand side to avoid the pushrod tubes. As well as these engine modifications, they also featured four-wheel Dunlop disc brakes. I think this is probably about the 15th vehicle to claim they were the first car to have disc brakes all around, but I believe that was the first production car to have disc brakes. Obviously that is disputed by whatever camp you're in, whether you're in a Jaguar camp or a Healey camp or somewhere else. But these cars were incredibly successful, and the S stands for Sebring. So they went on their first outing, they had a podium finish at Sebring, which really cemented the 100S as a 50s race car. You don't see them very often, so they produce 50 vehicles, and of those 50 vehicles, only about 34 survive today, and this is one of the 34 vehicles. Inside the car, it looks very similar to a Healey 100. Obviously we've got racing modifications with the racing seat and a roll cage, but in here, very similar to as you expect in a 100, but with the addition of an oil temperature gauge and all the switch gear I need for going racing. As you can see, the max RPM on this is about 6 to 6.5. I think 6 is strictly the limit, but the last time we raced this, I was trying to beat a Jaguar C-Type, so it was a case of pushing it to the limit, which we did, and that came away with a 3rd place finish at Goodwood, which was well worth it. Small aero screen there, which is just something I can tuck my head behind just to get out the wind a little bit, but it doesn't help too much, and obviously not the ideal car to go racing in if it's raining. If you have any more questions on this car, please let me know at the end of the video, and I'll be happy to answer those, as well as guiding you towards some YouTube videos of the car, some onboards from the car, as it's quite spectacular to watch, especially in that race at Goodwood where we were wheel to wheel with some Jaguar C-Types too. Heading around the upstairs store again, we have this car which has arrived from Norway. This is a rally car which has arrived for sale. And you can see on the wall around the workshop the various shrouds from projects that are in progress. Here we have the car that has just arrived back from the USA just this week. So this is Andy's race car that we did a full build on, a full restoration, as the white one downstairs in the same way, but as a race car. And yeah, just like I say, just arrived back from the port, so it's full of a few bits. But this is a really special race car that we built. And went over to America last year with some limited testing, and had a great couple of months of testing and racing over there, which was a real credit to the team for doing such a good job on this. There's a number of racing modifications we do. This car's on triple Webers and triple Weber carburetors, and a long-range fuel tank and all the race upgrades we need. Power-wise, we'll be producing about 260 brake horsepower from this, and with a top speed around 135 miles an hour. It's got 4-wheel disc brakes, and the car is built to full FIA specification. So this the specification in order to race for most races in Europe are to FIA spec. And building the car to FIA spec also means that the car can race internationally. So we came to America with no problems, and the car was completely eligible. Moving around the upstairs here, we have a few imposters. We have, for some reason, we have two CVs, de chevaux. So yeah, we don't see many of these, but for some reason we've got 2. This is probably a vehicle you don't ever see in the US. This is called a Vauxhall Chevette, HS Chevette. I shouldn't think that you've seen one of those before. And here we have another project which is a bit further on than the 2 downstairs, the white one and the blue one. As you can see now, this is in sort of running order and into body fit stage. So this is being fitted up now in metalwork, ready to progress through to bodywork. Under this cover here, we have a lovely Fast Road 3000, which is now finished. And this is in gunmetal grey, which really suits the car very well. This is a bit more of a modified vehicle with some 6.5-inch rims, and really looks good in person as well. Okay, as you can see up here as well, plenty more restoration projects which are progressing through. And let's head down to the body shop. So this is the back part of the workshop. This is where we do all of our restoration work, body work, and painting facility. So as you can see there, the booth in the background, which has been busy this week, finishing off painting of the full restoration. This is a sales car that's just been sold, and that'll be heading up to Yorkshire in the north of England very soon. The owner just wanted a little bit of body work on the rear wing there, which is being done. We see some other things as well. This Rover V8, I would say the British V8, I must hold my hands up and say the Rover V8 is nothing like the V8s you guys build. Really quite amazing how they managed to get such little horsepower out of 8 cylinders. But yeah, where there's a record, there's a record. That's got to be one of them. And yeah, this car here, which has just come out of the booth yesterday, I tell you what, it's quite nice for this kind of thing is, I'll give you all a wave. So this is a gun finish, and then what will happen now is this will be flat and polished, what we call nib, flat and polish, which will bring the car up to final shine. But as a gun finish, looks absolutely fantastic. And working our way through, we have a restoration here, which is having a complete rear assembly rebuild at the moment. So rear bulkheads are being rebuilt. This is one of the original metallic gold and beige cars, actually. So this is progressing through nicely. And that's the beauty of the upstairs store, really, is it keeps this workshop relatively clear, so that projects can be worked on in enough space. Here we have an XK150, again an example of the other stuff we do, some of the brilliant fabrication work that Charlie, my brother, has completed, including hand making these headlight assemblies. All of these repairs around here have been completed in-house. Wing repairs, new door skins and door frame inside on this one. All new door frame has been manufactured. And as well as handmade boot lid. So when a boot lid wasn't available and a good replacement wasn't available, Charlie's actually completely made this from scratch, including this quite complex curve around the number plate area there. So the vehicles will complete the metalwork here, and they'll move through into bodywork and paint. And as they're completed, they are then road tested and ready to go back to the owners. So let's head back through. As you can see, we've now completed a full circle, and we're back in the mechanical workshop. So as we head through here, we also have a parts store as well, for all our servicing, and parts storage is all in there for the guys as they work. Heading outside, still a lovely sunny day, and this is our, well, as you'd call it, a semi. We call this a articulated lorry, and this is our race truck. So when we go and support people on motorsport events, and we can get 4 cars in here with 3 on top and 1 at the bottom, with a full workshop and office area as well for debriefs. And this has all the spares and parts and tools on board in order to complete the repairs we need to and look after people on race events. Unlike most other garages, we also have a small courtesy car because it makes things easy for people to collect and drop off, as well as a small flatbed truck for local collections as well. So that really finishes off our virtual tour of Biil Rawles Classic Cars. I hope you found it informative. Myself and Bill will be on the Zoom call in just a moment, so if there's anything in particular you'd like to see, we can always pop back into the workshop, and if you have any questions you'd like to ask, let me know. And we can also do a supplementary video too, if there's anything specific that people would like to know. So please, I welcome the floor to any questions, technical, maybe something about the family and our involvement. Maybe you'd like to know some history, as well as what we might be up to in 2025. So I really thank you for your time, and I look forward to speaking to you on the video in a second.
Thank you, Jack. Appreciate it.
No problem, guys. Thank you very much. Thanks for bearing with us for the technical issues.
Yeah, I apologize for the technical issues. That's all mine, all on me.
No worries at all. Hi, guys.
So are there any folks have any questions of Jack and Bill? You see Bill's there as well with Jack in the shop this afternoon. Dana, you're on mute if you're saying something.
No, I'm really impressed.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's taken quite a while to get to this stage, but it's quite humbling, really, the amount of vehicles we've got that come to us from all over the world now. And I think with the ethos of just doing the job properly and giving the customer what they want and the service they want, it's amazing how it's grown to what it is now. With Jack running it now, I'm sort of more of a backstand. I tend to sort of spend more time in the workshop, just sort of not so much fighting fires, but just sort of helping the guys out, you know, when they want something sorted out in the machine shop or something. So it's changed. The business has changed slightly over the years with Jack running it now. He's got a good head, clear head. Whereas I started it from nothing, and I had to sort of do all the different things. And I think doing all different disciplines is quite hard. You know, I mean, my background is mechanical engineering and that sort of thing, not really running a business, which is you have to do, as I know some of you guys there run your own businesses. It's hard juggling all the balls, but I think we've got a good team now, and it sort of tends to show with the work we do.
Yeah.
You know, if you've got any questions, just fire away. I recognise some faces there on the Zoom call. Our guys. Yeah.
I didn't see any bug eyes.
Yeah, well there aren't many. We have got one in full restoration and one just left us yesterday as well. It's quite interesting actually. I mean, I guess it's still the case in the States as well with like, I don't know, like the guys I know that I've seen, like the bug eye guy and people like, he obviously doesn't do any big Heelys. And I think that does happen, is that you end up just focusing or getting known for, although they're all under Austin-Healey, they are quite different cars really. And so there are specialists that more like MG specialists end up doing sprites and things like that than us, but we do see them. But you know, they're such a complex car, although they're tiny. When you come to restore one, you know, they're actually in some ways more complicated than a big Heeley to restore. And often I find the bonnet is the thing that people, or the hood, are the things that people forget about, right? And it makes up a third of the car. So they'll restore the tub, and then they'll forget, oh, I'll sort the hood out later. But actually, it makes up a large proportion of the car. You know, a lot of work in that.
Very much like an E-Type. I mean, the E-Type again is you know, a third bonnet or hood, or you know, whatever you guys want to call it. But there's a massive amount of work in an E-Type bonnet. It really is. These jobs, all these big restoration jobs, whilst we've done lots and lots over the years, I don't think any two are the same. You always find something different, you know, that a quirkiness of one vehicle. And also these guys, all these cars, although they were production based built, they were in effect, a lot of them were hand finished. And you know, there's always the adage of the Friday afternoon car, where people say, "Oh bloody hell, it must be a Friday afternoon car." Well, I think there's a bit of truth in that. You know, that the guys just wanted to get home, and things just got screwed on. You know, it really is incredible what we find sometimes. Yeah, it's interesting, and it's always. We just had one come in today, actually, literally not far from where we are, and it's been stored since 1983.
Yeah.
And it's like a time warp, you know, and it's just like, and it's what I love, you know, it comes in and it's totally unusable. And then in 18 months' time, it'll be back out, you know, on the road again.
Yeah, I can't quite get it, but yeah, it's been in a garage for 40 years, which is amazing, really. You know, so,
It never ceases to amaze me how where they keep coming from. It really doesn't. I mean, I know there's a lot in the States, but in the UK, we find they've just been squirreled away when they weren't worth anything, and they were put away and they got forgotten about. And then now we're finding that the siblings of the guys that had them, a bit like this car, they say, "Do you know what, Dad? I want to get your old car going again," and they pick up the restoration.
So I guess the thing is as well, in that video we did focus a lot on restoration, and it does make up quite a lot of our business. But I would say we are just a classic car garage. You know, when people have a problem, you know, it might just be that they need a tire changed, or you know, they've got, you know, the points have closed up or something simple like that. It's not just a case of, you know, it's the big restorations or nothing. No, you know, we are servicing the Morris Minor in the village, as well as
during the summertime.
Yeah, doing all kinds of jobs.
Yeah, it's just the business was just about to change now as we go into the spring. We get more what I call the drop-in customer. You know, they come in, "Oh, can you fix this for us? Can you fix that for us?" During the winter, we find that the work is just a steady plod through, you know, restoration work and the bigger jobs, the engine building and these sort of things. And then I say the summertime, it gets more frenetic, because we suddenly have a car appear with a problem, and you've got to find a space for it and sort it out, and that gets done. So, it's quite exciting, really, because you don't know what's going to come in the door tomorrow. But, you know, it's good fun.
Yeah.
I got a question for you guys. You just talked about points. What's your experience as it relates to electronic ignition, Pertronics as an example, compared to the old points?
Okay, so my thought on this, I've always hated 1, 2, 3, Lumination, all these different types of electronic points distributors, until a brand has come along called CSI. And we have genuinely fitted over 100 of these now and not had a problem. And I say the reason I think this is because the CSI comes as a complete distributor, with printed circuit boards inside, and we found we just fit them and they work. And it's not a case of modifying your old distributor. So what's the way up on that? I think, yes, I'm a great advocate for electronic ignition if the owner is less mechanically minded. Maybe they're not. If you said, right, take off the cap and set the points, and it gave them a headache, then electronic distributor is definitely the way to go. However, when you're in the middle of nowhere and that electronic distributor goes wrong, you're stuffed.
Yeah, I mean,
so it's sort of, we say horses for courses. It depends who you are and what you're doing with the car, really.
I think the biggest issue recently, or over the last 5 or 10 years, has been condensers, because I know these companies have thousands or hundreds of thousands of a batch made of condensers, and then there's a fault, and that fault then follows through until that batch is gone. So we tend now to fit Bosch condensers on the outside of the distributors rather than we take them out from the inside and actually fix them to the outside, because it doesn't matter where they go on the low tension leads. So you can fit them on the coil. As long as it's on the low tension side, they work. And we found, we had a Mark II Jag we serviced, literally went 2 miles on the road and broke down. Condenser failed, brand new condenser. So we had to try and find a manufacturer that wasn't just buying them from China. And Bosch, VW's, I think they're Passats or maybe Beetles. They lend themselves to being screwed to the outside of a Lucas distributor. The lead's just long enough to go on, and that's what we fit, because we're just so fed up with fitting Chinese rubbish. Really, what's
amazing there is when you call the supplier, we're obviously the first time.
Oh yeah, they never had that problem.
Had that problem before.
No.
Yeah.
So I mean, as Jack says, I mean, I've always thought a set of contacts in the distributor is great, because they close up, you can open them up, and off you go again. But the CSI that we've used over the past 7 or 8 years has been phenomenal. It really has.
However, I would say as a company and as a family, we're not interested in bolt-on gizmos. So I would advise against 4-pot brake calipers and going a long way away from what the car originally was, because do you know what, really the car was pretty good. If you think of the time taken for them to develop it, and still 60 years on, we've only really improved a few things. But certainly my sort of top upgrades would be to put a plastic 5-blade fan on with an uprated core radiator. We don't actually believe in Kenlo fans. We found that this method works. A 7/8 anti-roll bar is by far your best pound for pound or dollar for dollar improvement you can put onto the car. That will really improve the handling. And then you can go further with maybe an alternator upgrade if you want to get rid of a dynamo. And really the issue there is more the control box than the dynamo. And there's a few other things which, if anyone's interested, I have a list of my recommended upgrades, which I'm more than happy to send out for you guys to browse and consider. It's not to sell them to you. You can do what you want with those. If it helps you guys, then that's good.
Do you offer the Bosch condensers? Because I've heard about the problems with the.
We can send you some condensers over. It's not a problem. I mean, you can probably buy them locally yourself. They are literally a Bosch condenser, which goes on to, I think, either a Beetle or a Passat. But they've just got a little fly lead on them, little green fly lead. But we can send you some over. It's not a problem. But they do seem to work all right. They really do.
I was also impressed when Jack showed us the quality of the Connolly leather, and I worked in a classic car upholstery shop for a number of years, did a number of Healeys, and those seats were beautiful. Do you do your own interiors there in shop?
So yeah, thank you. So the internal engine machining and the trimming are the only two things we don't do in-house. And the reason for this is that we have a really good local trimmer, and we found that employing trimmers are a funny thing. They're really good at trimming and not very good at anything else. So it's not like if they don't quite have full-time work, they can do anything else. So, but this trimmer we've used for probably about 10 years now, and he's basically employed by us because I just drop one off and pick one up from him. But and working together with him, really focused on getting it right and getting the quality really good, because so often I found with the trimmer as well is that they'll just put something back on as it came off, and sometimes you got to step back a second and say, just because that was on there before, it doesn't mean that it can go on there again. Maybe it was wrong, But yeah, thank you for your comments on that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Very nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but I mean, the thing is, we found over the years is, and when people come in to say, well, I can buy trim covers, you know, and trim the seat myself. We just say, well, they just fit where they touch. You know, you will never get the same. But then the cost of having bespoke trimming is 4 times the cost of buying a set of seat covers. So, you know, there's a cost differential there all the time. As with the hoods and anything that's handmade is going to be a lot more expensive than off the shelf. But we found with the hoods, they never fit. They never fit, and you have to either have them retrimmed, and it's something we won't fit. We just say, I'm sorry, but we you know, we won't do it. If
From
you,
a kit.
from a kit,
Yeah,
yeah. We you know, all we do is bespoke trimming, and it pays in the end. I know it's painful sometimes of the cost, but really and truly, it's cost versus quality, really. And you know, if you want, we always say, you know, there's, you know, obviously there's Harrods in London. If you want, you either want Harrods prices or, you know, or the high street prices, and you get what you pay for, really. You really do, you know, and it shows.
I've installed seats on Heelys from 3 different suppliers, and each one has had an issue of some sort.
Yeah.
So if you can control it yourself, you get the beautiful quality you had there.
Well, I think you're quite. I think control is exactly what you're right. We, you know, that's where we you know, we have the control now, and the suppliers who do all our work for us, they know what we're looking for. You know, and we often say, I mean, we say to the trimmer, you know, it's not a case of down to a price. It's to a quality, and you know, if that's what it costs, that's what it costs. You know, and the trimmer, the guy was doing it for us, and he was saying, you know, I really can't. I'm struggling to do it for this price. And I said, well, how much do you want to do it then? You know, because we want you to earn a living that you're happy earning and doing the job and suddenly it's like he's just suddenly, yeah, he started smiling and going, yeah. Oh wow, if that's the case. And you know, okay, the prices may have gone up by a third, but he's now in the right work ethic, and he knows what, you know, the mindset is right, and the quality is phenomenal. You know, we never get any problems, you know. So yeah. It's finding the right people.
Definitely. And then looking after them. So something that we're really proud of is that a lot of all of our employees have been with us between 5 and 10 years, you know, maybe longer.
And 30 years.
Yeah, we've got one guy that comes in on a Thursday and a Friday, and
he's been here 30 years. I just can't get rid of him.
So yeah, it's really important. But no, I appreciate that. Are there any more questions at all?
Yeah, I have a question about your customer base.
Yeah.
So as you can see on this video, a lot of faces that have gray hair and wrinkles.
Yep.
Are your customers, what's your customer base ages? Are you looking at people that are on this video, or is there youth?
Okay, yeah, so there is youth. I found that youth is not necessarily in the car clubs. I think it's just there's a change of there's definitely a change there. So younger people aren't getting involved with car clubs, but you do see them on Facebook groups and things like that. And then becomes the next challenge I have when it comes to mostly the Austin-Healey Club. It is a classic car problem, is that in one sentence, people will whinge that there's not enough youth in the club, and then they also don't want their car prices to go down at all. And this is just it's a fact that there is a correlation between this. Most people bought their cars when they were worth a lot less, and they were more youthful. And we're finding that, yeah, unless the car prices come down, I think true youth, like my age, 30 and under, is going to be unlikely to come in. But then I also say that the Austin-Healey owner has always been about 50 years old, even when it was new. And yeah, that has sort of slid a little bit. But there are certainly young people that are interested. And what we find now is that it's the second generation. So this is absolutely where the ownership is coming through, is inheritance, you know, the inherited vehicles. And most of the restoration projects now are being done either to pass on to their children or by their children of their parents' cars. Mm-hmm. So to answer your question, there is youth. You just have to find it a bit and nurture it as well. You know, when I have a youthful owner, I'll try my best to ensure that you know, we can provide a service that they can afford, to ensure that they can keep within the mark, because it's really important for everyone.
And we also lock him in the cupboard, so you can't go out. So.
Thank you.
That's good.
No problem.
Thanks for the question, Dave.
Anyone else?
You refer to rust. Is that because of the humidity? The cars don't get a chance to dry out? They don't use road salt there, do they?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're very much like you guys. I mean, when I go to Pete in Boston, the road conditions are very similar to what we get over here. Salted. I mean, the roads were salted this week. Yeah, I mean, the UK cars are very much the same as the East Coast American cars. You know, they rust the same. You know, whereas when we see West Coast Californian cars coming across, there's so little rust compared to what we have over here. And also there was very there was 94% of the cars came to the States. So the UK right-hand drive cars that we find, that I mean, like the one today, for example, will have corrosion in them just by sitting around in a garage, because on certain occasions in the UK in the spring and the autumn, the humidity or the humidity in the air, everything, you can pick up a spanner and it's dripping wet, on certain days. And this happens in people's garages. Unless they're dehumidified, they will just rust away. So yeah, I think it is. It's a worldwide issue unless you're living in a very warm climate.
You had mentioned the one car that came from the US that is staying in the UK. Are you seeing a lot of that, or is that kind of a one-off?
Yeah, no, that's been happening for years. Ever since I've been in it over 30 years. Not so much now, but 20 years ago, there were just bundles of cars coming back in from the States, because the cars in the States were cheap, people could buy. And then there's also a phenomenon in the UK, because the Healey's were so rare, per se, that people suddenly said, well, bloody hell, I can get a Healey, I can buy it from the States, convert it to right-hand drive, which is again is a simple thing to do, and have a Healey. I mean, when I was a kid, I first saw my first Healey when I was 13, which is what 50 years ago now, and it was in a garage, in a friend's garage, and it was falling apart, And I then bought which is our race car, which is a US import car, for about 30 years ago, literally falling apart, but by a guy who was bringing them back in by a dozen at a time. But it's not so much happening now, because the cars that are left in the States, some of them really are just hanging, together, or they're up together, and the values are higher. So it's less. There's less happening of the importation now.
Thanks.
That's okay.
I think one thing we have seen a big shift in the past 5 to 10 years are people doing work on their cars. That's certainly reduced. And I think that's also probably why we're seeing less cars come over, because most of the cars that came over were restoration projects, and there's just less people wanting to restore their own cars. When there's so many cars that are good that are on the market, people are just buying them.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. I mean, we have quite a few club members. We have guys that Pete knows, who used to do all the work themselves, and they just got to an age and goes, I don't want to climb under the car anymore. I don't want to service it. And of course they know us, they can trust us. And so we're seeing that work coming in, and we do actually get people involved as well. If we got a guy that's recently retired, who's pretty much hands-on, and he wants to restore his car, we'll say, okay, look, we haven't got a problem. You come in, take the engine out, do the bits and pieces, do the donkey work. And that on the video, the Chevette, the Vauxhall Chevette upstairs that Jack showed you, that guy, we've done all the body work, and that guy's done all the mechanical work. He's come in on a Friday afternoon and screw bits on. Okay, it's a bit of a pain in the ass sometimes when you've got to get the car down for him, but it works both ways sometimes, and it's nice to see the guy enjoying doing it. And
also seeing a car get back on the road that really probably that project wouldn't have been able to be completed if we didn't have that sort of leniency. But what's quite nice when you get a customer in for an afternoon or a day to work on their car, it gets them involved in the project, but they quite often sort of it's a good chance for them to understand that things don't just come apart, things don't just come out, and you go, you know, I've got to take the exhaust off. Okay, well, there's six nuts to undo there, and
Yeah.
it takes 2 hours to do it. You know, because they all
Yeah.
snap off or they're seized, or
Yeah,
it's
so-
a good sort of realization as to that. Yeah. And anyone, any more questions? Anyone?
Well, Jack, you mentioned about Chevettes. We
Yeah.
used to have Chevettes here. They were Chevy Chevettes, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
we had Ford Pintos,
Yeah.
and we had Gremlins, AMC Gremlins. They were the 3 worst cars ever produced.
It's the same car then. In this country, there is a Vauxhall Chevette, and it got the name a Shove-It because you had to push it everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, there was back in the UK back in the early 80s. There were lots of what we call granny cars that were turned into what they call hot hatches. The Chevette, the Lotus Sunbeam. There was other the Golf GTI. They all became hot hatchbacks, and it was a real thing in the UK in the 80s. Not so much. It doesn't happen so much now, but we're seeing those cars coming through now, being restored by people, enthusiasts that had them then. You know, and they're spending serious money on having Golf GTI, which are rabbits in your country, but Golf GTI is done. And it's slightly changed as to some of the vehicles we're getting involved in. And I think it will do as time goes on. But you know, we've opened our arms a little bit to that because it's nice also to do something a little bit different.
Right.
In the early
So we did have a
70s,
question came up. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
in the early 1970s, I worked at a Jaguar MG Austin dealer, and we sold a lot of Austin Americas. Have you serviced any of those recently?
Well, so is that like an Atlantic or?
It's
No,
kind
it
of
was
like a pregnant Mini. It was much larger, and you know, the same suspension and the same A series BMC engine.
Yeah.
And people really liked them. They were very comfortable and nice driving cars.
So 1300 to you guys.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Hydroelastic
They were
suspension.
great. Yeah. They were great. Yeah. They were great. Yeah. They were a great driving car, actually. What were they called?
The Van den Plough.
What were they called in the States?
Austin America.
Austin
Yeah,
America.
we sold a lot of them in the States. Yeah.
Austin
they were
Americas.
They were called Americas here.
Yeah. They were great. They were great. Very comfortable car. We've done a few Austin Atlantics recently. Done some engines on those, and it always makes us laugh because when they did the Austin Atlantic, they thought they were going to take over the world in the States. You know, you look at it, you go, that never was going to sell in America. You know, I mean, they're fair enough. It's a great car to drive, but bloody ugly. You know, and you just think, what were they thinking about? You know, but
It's quite nice. We had quite a good surprise. Do you guys get the Jensen 541? Do you have that?
Is that an Interceptor?
No, it's earlier. It's early. Okay. So I bet they probably didn't export the Jensen.
Oh, it's got the headlights are in an angle. That's the one.
CV8.
Yeah,
but it's sort of the same sort of thing. Yeah, but we had one of those in recently. It's got a 4-liter Austin engine in it, and as we took it apart, it became clear that it was all basically 104 stuff. Which made that rebuild really nice, and even nicer to find out that Jeremy at Dennis Welsh had some parts for us as well. Which that's actually how I think Dennis started with racing a Jensen 541.
he did. That's right.
Well,
That's right.
yeah. So Ray Gay, you had a question about your steering. You want to share your question, and then we'll see if we can tackle that for you, Ray.
Sure, thanks very much. Now, when I got my Series 3 1964, I thought everything was perfect on it, but as soon as I drove it away, I'm turning around not a right-angled left turn, but a left-hand bend. I turned the steering wheel quite easily, and then it would get hard, stuck. I could take my hands off it, it would stay there. And then I push it past that, and it would go okay again. And conversely, coming back, it would jam in the sort of mid back to straight position, and then after that would be okay. So I sort of researched it as much as I can, and I discovered, I think, from what I read in the repair journals, is that the screw thread or on the main driving steering rod is not uniform the whole way. That there's a narrow piece in the middle of it, and that narrow piece should be centered straight when the car is going straight ahead. So I cured the stiffness by just unscrewing the lock nuts and lifting the thing, the little plunger thing out. So that stopped the stiffness, but it made it a bit more lax. And
It would do, yeah.
I would like to get that right. And
is it a new worm? Was it a new worm or
No.
it was an original box?
It's an original box, I would think.
Yeah. So what's happened to it? It's worn. The steering box has got worn in the straight ahead position, and if you imagine as it goes down, as the worm turns, and as the drop arm follows the worm, it in effect it comes on the side of the worm, then goes into the center of the worm, then comes on the side of the worm again.
Yeah.
And where you've had to de-adjust it is because the center of the worm is worn, and you've got more left and right movement on the steering wheel. What it needs is a new worm. That will cure that.
If I may interrupt, I think his problem is that one of the side rods has been changed and it's longer or shorter than an original.
Oh, is it?
That has just moved the center position of the steering box.
That'll make sense.
So you have to, first thing to do is swap the side arms and see if it moves from side to side. And then make sure you get a pair of either equal length side arms or the arm on the hub is not bent.
Yeah. That makes sense. Actually, when he was saying that, I thought it's funny that it's actually got it more one side than the other, because normally it will be off straight ahead. It would be left and right. It would be tight. So yeah, that would make sense. Definitely makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, so my thinking about how I would fix it, so probably doesn't apply. It occurred to me that if I disconnected the steering arm, it's called the steering arm. The steering lever. I could then position it so that when I can move the wheel right with my finger all the way one way and all the way back the other way, and I should find a piece in the middle which is a bit tighter. And then I can.
Sorry, they thought of that one too, and there's a master spline on it.
Yeah, that's right. You can't turn the drop arm. No.
Oh,
Yeah,
you can.
So Michael, why don't you repeat what you recommend for Ray?
Ray, what you do is you take off both the side rod assemblies. Those are the things that go out to the wheels.
Yeah.
And you swap them left to right. You don't have to tighten them right up. Just swap them left to right, and then take the car for a drive and see if that high spot, or just put it up in the air, see if the high spot has moved to the other side.
Yeah.
If it has moved to the other side, then you'll find that either one of those side rods is they're different lengths, or the arms right down on the hubs that go to the hubs are one or other is bent.
Yeah. Definitely.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thanks very much. Obviously, a bit more than I.
I know, reading your email, you had one more question as well, which was about removing the steering wheel.
Yeah, because I thought that if I did this job and I got the whole thing straightened up as far as the steering box is concerned, my steering wheel would be obviously in the wrong position, and it wouldn't look right. So I'd like to move that. And I wondered if I start to try and move the steering wheel, I'm not sure how I do that, what would happen to the middle part where the horn and the traffic indicators are situated.
Is it have you got an adjustable column?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you just have to undo the ferrule at the bottom, will allow you to pull it all out and let you. Well, you don't need to undo it. Once you've got the steering wheel off and you put the steering wheel straight, although you've got to pull the horn push out anyway. So you've got to undo the ferrule at the bottom. Because you've got an adjustable column, then you've got to be careful that as you pull the horn push back, it all pulls out with it, because it's on a slide. It's on like a sliding. One slides inside the other one, so it's all okay. You can get it all out, but it's a bit of a fiddle. It is a little bit of a fiddle. You need two of you as well, because you want one to hold the horn push in the right position, the other one to do the ferrule up, because otherwise you'll be chasing yourself up and down all the time.
Okay. Well, listen, thanks very much. And I enjoyed your presentation. Yeah, it's just fantastic.
And one more question.
Doing. And,
Did you grow up in Bristol?
I came from Bristol, you're right.
Bristol boys, eh?
Yeah, sure am.
Good man.
Very astute of
Take
it.
the man out of
I can't get rid of my West Country accent.
That's great, Jack. You picked up on that.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you very much. And Peter,
no
thank you for
Are there other
my
questions?
question. No,
No
not
problem.
really.
No, I don't mean you, Ray,
All
the
right,
others.
yeah.
Do others have any questions?
You know, while we're talking about the steering and all, what about adjusting the cross rod? Any suggestions on that?
Adjusting it. Well, for the tracking.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you want to do? What to adjust to do?
Well,
it?
I mean, as far as aligning the front wheels and all,
Yeah.
you know, I know there's the lock nuts and then the cross rod will roll.
Yeah.
Any suggestions about the best way to get that all aligned correctly?
Well, I mean, you'll need tracking gauges, or you can what you can do it like the race boys do is we call stringing it, but that you mean you're going to make a box around the car of string. It's a bit more involved, unless you can find someone with some Dunlop tracking gauges, which are quite simple. That's the only way you can do it, really. Otherwise, you've got to string it. So
yeah, it's quite good also to make sure you roll the car back and forwards. But I know it's a silly thing, but you know,
get it settled.
Future to suck eggs, but you know, roll the car. Otherwise, you know, you keep adjusting all day and not do anything. What we sometimes do is put we've got two pieces of metal, some plates, and put a bit of oil in between them.
Yeah,
and then it allows the wheels to sort of slide.
So when you jack the car up, obviously the suspension comes in.
Right.
When you drop it on a hard floor, it doesn't go out. But if you put it onto like or even the other way you can do it is put it onto a magazine, and as you drop it down, the magazine lets the wheels go out, and it means you haven't got to keep pushing the car backwards and forwards.
Right.
Yeah, there's little tricks.
Okay, thank you. Yeah,
that's right.
helpful.
No problem. Good
Thanks,
to see
Les.
you.
Yeah.
Other questions?
So I've got a question, Pete.
Go ahead, Bill.
How many of these guys are going to come and support us this year in the racing?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just going to lead up to that. Yeah, you want to share with them what the plan is for 2025 for racing? And then, by the way, that's Bill and Jack's car behind me. So that's a FSL 246, and that's the car that won 4 races out at Road America in September.
Yeah, that's it. So we're going to do where are we going to go? I know we've got to get on a plane first.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. Does anyone want to hear about the Road America project, or have you got places to go?
Let's talk about it briefly. Yeah.
Okay, let's hear about it briefly. Okay, so if you don't know, last year, with the help of Pete, who was instrumental in making sure that the cars had a place to live, and a team manager and organization and everything really helpful with the shipping, we shipped 2 cars to the States to go and compete in the all Austin-Healey race at Road America. But this kind of was only really possible, like this idea of taking our race car to America was sort of a long shot, really, and never something we actually thought we could ever do. I've always wanted to do it, but never thought we'd be able to do it until an opportunity arose with one of our customers, which we had been restoring a race car for, the red car we saw in the video. And he's US based. He lives in Texas, and you know, like a lot of you guys are, he's a really busy guy. Didn't have much spare time, and we built this lovely car for him, and he just wasn't going to find the time to come to the UK to drive it. So I came up with this idea of shipping shipping his car to the States to do some training and get him racing the car over there. And we sort of piggybacked onto that. So Andy was a really kind and generous guy, and allowed us to sort of come with him and travel on his coattails, really, which enabled our car to get to the States. So this sort of elaborate trip really is thanks to one of our customers that helped us to get over there. And now the car's there, we're able to at quite a low cost, really, come over, you know, relative to what we're trying to do, is to come over and race the car over there. So last year was really successful, and then this year we're going to try and do, was it 3 events, Pete, which is the Jefferson 500 at Summit Point in May, and then again Road America and Watkins Glen.
Lime Rock
and Watkins Glen later in the summer. So yeah, it's great to have our car out there. It's you know, but you get some funny looks when people can't work out why the driver's on the wrong side. But
yeah, I mean, I came over in January, and I got to say thanks to Bruce, who's I think on here as well.
Bruce is on catching. Yep.
We had the gearbox out and changed the overdrive. I lost the overdrive. Jack did the main race, and then I did the Founders race, and found I had no overdrive. The overdrive had blitzed itself. And so I came over January with Pete and stayed for 10 days, and we took the gearbox out and did all the overdrive. And at the same time, that's when we shipped the red car back. So yeah, the white car is pretty much ready to go. We prepped it all for this year, and now what we've got to do is turn up and go racing.
The one thing remind me, Jack, when you show us the video, the 100S, and you're showing us the tachometer, the rev counter, and it showed at 6,500 RPMs. And when Dad lost overdrive in your white car, weren't you turning $7 grand, Bill, in that car?
Yeah, revving to 7,000. Yeah.
I always say, you know, the 3,000 engine will rev to about 7,000. It can actually rev to 9, but only does it once.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's. I think the thing it was quite funny because Jack had won the Healey race, and so because we were on the Saturday, I was supposed to race as well, but the first race was a yellow flagged race, but Jack still won it, and he said, "Well, now we've won the first one, we want to try and save the car for the second one." So I didn't race on the Saturday, and on the Sunday, once he'd won the big race, which was what we wanted to do, he said, "Right, don't go and break it, you know." And I was out there, and I thought, "Fuck it, you know, I've come all this way, I'm going to rev the nuts off of it, you know." And I won the race as well, so it was good. It was good fun, you know. But the poor old girl did get his neck run. But you know, but then funny enough, I did the tap-ins at Pete's house, and everything was spot on. So you know, she's good to go
With a new overdrive unit.
Yeah, and the gearbox tunnel, Pete. We made a good job of that, didn't we? Repainting that, yeah. So yeah, it'd be good if any of you guys are out there, or if you come and see us when we're out there, it'd be brilliant. You know, it'd be good to see. I mean, I think obviously Summit Point's a fair way away from you guys, or
but Watkins Glen is certainly something that it'd be quite a laugh really to get as many Healey boys together as we can and just go and have a day at the track, you know, and have a beer afterwards, which is always nice.
Definitely, yeah.
So the good thing about Lime Rock, which is again is Labor Day weekend, that's the vintage classic that Jack and Andy raced in last year. So that ends on the Monday of Labor Day, and the lot in Watkins Glen is the following Thursday. So you know those two races are back-to-back weekends, and you know from Boston it's 3 hours to Lime Rock and 6 to Watkins Glen, so it's not so bad. Summit Point's gonna be a little longer. That's 8.5 hours to get down to West Virginia for us. But I think that'll be a good warm up for getting ready for the end of August, September timeframe.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And just a point, I suppose you could say today that if you guys go onto YouTube, onto Goodwood, onto their feeds, the race that Jack finished third in March last year has just literally been put up onto the internet, and it's a good watch. It's what the TV cameras saw. And showed on the TV, and we literally just watched it before we came on with you guys, and it's quite good to see the 100S up against the back of a C-type Jag. It's a good watch. So if you get a chance, have a look at that.
Yeah, and also check out Jack's YouTube channel is Jack Rawles YouTube. So he has the 3 parts of Road to Road America, part 1, 2, and 3, as well as the race at Goodwood. And Jack, you have something else coming up to Goodwood this year as well, right?
Yeah, we do. So it's not all jet set and racing cars, but this week has been a bit like that. So I've just been in the south of France for 2 days testing a Healey 3000. It's not really a customer of ours. He just asked me to go and help him with some driver coaching. And then in a couple of weeks' time, I'll be testing the race car that I'll be driving at Members Meet, which will be a Healey 3000 in the Sterling Moss Trophy. So if you guys want to jump on the live stream for Goodwood and cheer us on, that'd be great. And also a really nice thing, which I haven't actually told anyone about yet, is that I'll be testing 54 FAC at Goodwood on the Saturday, which is one of the 3 works Sebring cars of 1963. 63 Sebring, yeah. So that'll be a really historic car to test and get behind the wheel of. So I'm looking forward to that.
That'd be great. Is that a sister car that what was it in the
so you had 56 FAC at Road America this year,
yeah, that'll be great. Excellent.
Yeah.
Hey, Jack,
any questions before we close? Todd?
Yeah.
You got a question?
Yeah, Jack, you didn't bring the Elva home?
No, unfortunately not. Yeah, I wish that was a nice bit of kit actually. That was quite funny because yeah, they said this car's for sale. Can you go out and race it? And yeah, but make sure you bring it back. And you can say yeah. And then as soon as the lights go out and the helmet's on, it's you kind of forget about the fact that you know, the thing's for sale. But yeah, that was a nice car to drive, that's for sure.
Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, so that was the Monday out at Lime Rock, Labor Day weekend, where Squire Motors, they're up in Camden, Maine. They allowed Jack to drive customers' Elvos, and 65 Elva with a 2.2 BMW, as I recall.
Correct. Yeah. Same engine as the 2002 BMW, which really nice. I think it's the M10 engine. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Someone might be able to correct me on that. I think that's right. Yeah, nice bit.
Hello.
Any other questions?
It's just to say I was ready. You can come whenever you're ready, please.
So we'll mute Ray. But so just as a reminder, so for those of you in New England, we have our planning meeting next Saturday, 10 o'clock. So it's really to finalize our plans for 2025. Then we also our next technical call will be on Monday evening on April 14th. So the day before you need to pay your taxes, we'll get a chance to have a technical call for that. But we really appreciate Jack and Bill coming on. Again, we planned it for Saturday morning. We normally have these Monday nights at 7 o'clock. But that's after Jack's bedtime at midnight. So we said, well, let's do it on a Saturday morning. And so that's the reason we're doing that. Hopefully you guys like this. If we've been doing the Monday nights at 7 o'clock for years, 5-6 years now. If you think we want to do something different moving forward in the future, we're certainly open to that. So if you got any suggestions or recommendations, please let us know about that. We'll also right after the planning meeting, we'll be launching the registration for Summit 2025. So we're going back to our roots of Cape Cod. And I know you got some folks on here that are from the Cape, and we look forward to that. So that's going to be, we're going to be in Falmouth. And Falmouth is where we used to have our Cape meets. So we're going back to our roots from 25 plus years ago. So looking forward to that. So. Well, thank you guys all for your time. Thanks, Jack and Bill, for your time. And
thanks to you guys for looking in, and hopefully you might see you at some point when we come across.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sounds good.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you,
Take
guys.
care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks. Great. Thank you very much.
You.
I apologize for the audio in the beginning.
No
Wonderful.
problem.
Oh, it's okay. See you guys.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Good job. Good job.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.